So what are your thoughts on this day for DT?
Well, there's a lot going on today. Obviously, they had a really special celebration last night here at the stadium. Can't thank the ownership group enough for putting on an incredibly first-class event for all alumni. Anyone was there last night, but especially members of that Super Bowl 50 team and players that played with Demaryius. It was really a first-class event, and for none of us can believe it's been 10 years, and a lot of us hadn't seen each other in 10 years. So that was very special. And then to honor Demaryius, who's going into the Ring of Honor, certainly emotional. Demaryius, Ronnie Hillman, Greg Knapp, Tom Heckert, that were all members of that team that are no longer with us. So you certainly take a lot of time to reflect during a reunion weekend. Happy times, but emotional times as well. And hard to believe it's been 10 years, but just can't thank the Broncos enough for having us. And look, Demaryius was, every bit as good a human being as he was a football player. And when all of y'all asked me, what's the main reason you came to Denver, I'm not sure I gave you all the honest answers back in 2012, but Demaryius Thomas was a big reason for it, because I never played with a receiver quite like him, right? I played with Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, unbelievable receivers, but nobody was as big and as powerful as Demaryius was, and I always was kind of wondering, like what would that be like? And it was every bit as good as I thought it would be. He practiced every day. As you guys remember, he never slid or went out of bounds. So I know he was always, physically hurting or sore, but he practiced every single day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which doesn't happen all that much anymore. And it's a little piece of advice for receivers. You want to catch the ball, practice every day. Your quarterback remembers that and he'll throw it to you. And so I just had great respect for him. And but the way he treated, Ashley and my kids after games, and the kitchen staff and the equipment staff, that was probably more indicative of the person that he was. So we miss him every day, and certainly a special honor for him today.
Peyton, we see a lot of teams run that receiver screen, the bubble screen today, but what made him so good at that?
They made that play for him, and I still get coaches, calling me about plays that we used to run, and they kind of want, hey, can you take us behind the ropes on this play and how you taught it? And a lot of them mentioned that play. I said, I'm just going to tell you, the way you're going to run that play is not going to work nearly as good as we ran it, because we had a guy named Demaryius Thomas who it was just made for. Because, if he caught it kind of in stride, where he was able to kind of cut up inside with some speed, and all of a sudden you got Ryan Clady and Orlando Franklin kicking out a defensive back to give him even more space. The rest was kind of it was over after that. So just so big and strong and powerful. He played fast. He never slowed down to catch the ball. That probably might be one of his great qualities. So he was running full speed when he caught it, and then of course he ran full speed after that. And that's a quarterback's best friend, a 1-yard screen pass that goes for 80 yards against the Ravens or Pittsburgh. You take that all day.
Hey, your pillar is right next to his.
Yeah.
What's the significance for you?
Well, it's it means a lot. And then I don't know, today up there also, where's it going to be?
Right next to you.
No, I know, but the name, did I get bad information on where the name's going to be today?
Yeah, right next to yours.
Yeah. So the fact that it's going to be up there on the stadium next to mine means a lot, because we were close, and he was so close to my family as well. So that means a great deal. So just seeing that at halftime. I haven't seen it yet, obviously. I'll see it when everybody else is. But seeing his name up there next to mine at halftime, that'll be pretty special.
And you see the smile, on the bus that Demaryius had, and everyone talks about the smile, with him. Just what do you think? What emotions do you have when you see that?
Yeah, it was just contagious, and look, he kind of kept things in perspective. We didn't lose a lot of games during our time here, but if we did, he always just had a good perspective about it. And I think that just came from his life story of what he'd overcome in his life personally, and the fact that he makes it out of rural Georgia to become, a Ring of Honor player here in Denver is pretty amazing. So he always had everything in perspective, and that was very contagious amongst all our players, but very helpful to me. And I mean, the Super Bowl, there's a picture of it out there, but we win the Super Bowl in San Francisco, and everybody is so excited, and he's pushing my son Marshall around in the laundry bin like that was his kind of priority. I'm like, DT, we ought to be, I mean, Marshall loved it, I loved it, but that just kind of tells you that, he had more joy being around young people, and that was very evident in his Boys and Girls Club philanthropic activities and initiatives, and that's just who he was.
Just how emotional has this weekend been for you? Have you shed some tears
yet? Yeah, certainly. No, I mean, last night, they had Demaryius and I speak on behalf of our team, and a little bit on Demaryius. And yeah, and you do get emotional, kind of, talking about it, because the fact that, Ronnie and DT aren't with us anymore, it tells you that life is too short, and you shouldn't take 10 years to connect with someone or reconnect. So I was on a group text with the no-fly zone past couple of days, and really makes you appreciate the friendships and the relationships, and that's always been my greatest takeaway of all my years playing in the NFL, were the friendships and relationships. I don't wear my Super Bowl ring, and I have the memory in my mind and in my heart, but I have those friendships and relationships and phone numbers and group texts that fortunately continue after you stop playing, and that's still my greatest takeaway.
Hey, for a couple more guys, just with Marshall and your kids, just the attraction Demaryius had with kids. Your kids would tackle him after practice.
Yeah.
What was it about him?
Yeah, I think just the fact that he was genuinely kind of interested in them. I mean, when they were in elementary school, and I want to say it might have been on a Tuesday, and it was kind of bring a visitor to school day, mostly a grandparent, if you will. Not necessarily a parent day, but it was bring a grandparent. Mom and dad were in New Orleans, and Ashley's parents were in Memphis, and just couldn't make it, and so Demaryius, served as their special visitor, which obviously was very cool for them. But look, Tuesdays is not an off day in the NFL anymore for players, right? But the fact that he said, I want to do that, I'm gonna make it a priority to do that, and so I think he genuinely took an interest, not just in my kids, it was any player's kids or a coach's kids after games. I'd see him in those settings. I'd see him over at the Pro Bowl. It's just kind of how he was always. And like I said, the Boys and Girls Clubs was such an appropriate initiative for him to be a part of, because that organization does give kids opportunities that they wouldn't normally have, and he got those opportunities growing up in a tough background, and so it was just real and authentic, and I think that's just who he was and how he lived his life.
Do you ever look back at how the ending of Super Bowl 50, how it all came together for you in the playoffs? Or there was a time when we weren't sure if we were going to see you again that season. Do you ever think back to it now and how it all
sure.
came together?
Well, yeah, I mean, I tell you see a lot of quarterbacks now kind of having another chapter, whether it's Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield, and I love that. I pull for quarterbacks to keep fighting. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, and you just never know what's going to happen. You don't say this guy's not going to be able to ever play again, or this guy's done. I mean, look at Joe Flacco on Thursday night. So yeah, I think for me, obviously a lot of people kind of assumed that this is where it was going to go, and I wasn't sure either, whatnot. But I was disappointed Brock wasn't able to make it. He was in Lexington last night, and he has another East Coast game this weekend. He said it's going to be hard to get there, and so but Brock and I stay in touch a lot. And I mean, just kind of a bunch of bad bounces in that San Diego game, and tip balls and balls on the ground, but sure didn't look like things were going to go our way. And and Coop said, hey, we're going to put you in and whatnot, and nothing Brock did. Just like I said, just kind of football bad bounces. And I went in there, and I think I felt like I handed off well in that second half. I don't remember making any, laser rocket arm throws like I used to way back in the day. And look, that's, Kubiak can speak to that on what his guts and instincts were. But, you know, I was sitting there with Demaryius last night, and Vaughn did a really funny video, as you could imagine. And I had a great voicemail from Vaughn. We told him, you know, he and McManus obviously are the two players still playing, and we miss both of them being here. But Vaughn sent me a great message. But you know, I used to just practice against that defense every day with Wade and Talib, and I was so thankful I didn't have to play against them on any Sunday, that they were my teammates. And so, look, I was very aware of how good our defense was, and, you know, could go in there and manage and make good decisions and make a couple plays. And great to see Owen Daniels. We had a good visit last night, and, you know, he played great in that AFC championship game. So, yeah, you just never know, right? You just keep sawing wood, as an old coach used to tell me, and it was fun to get back in there and obviously play my last game in that Super Bowl on that special day out there in San Fran, and great to be back here 10 years later.